Okay. Hello. No, cancel. Just getting situated. It's sunny. It's bright today. As you can tell, it's 4 in the afternoon here in Rome. I'm going to cross the street, which I shouldn't do like this. But just here on the 8 tram line in Trastevere, which for those of you who know the neighborhoods in Rome, that's just across the river, Trastevere, across the river in Rome from the center, from the historic center. This is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Rome, that in the sense that the streets look like they have for the longest time. The buildings haven't changed much. And we're going inside to San Crisagono just for a little bit. I want to show you the body of, let's go into this piazza over here, the body of Blessed Anna Maria Taigi. She is a saint, she's a blessed of the Trinitarian order. She was a third order Trinitarian. This church of San Crisagono is a Trinitarian church. It's run by the Trinitarian order. It's really hard to show you a lot of the facade. I should have spent more time on the other side of the street. This would be a 13th or 14th century tower, bell tower. There's a few in the city still remaining from that time at Santa Cecilia in Trastevere. This one, Santa Maria in Cosmedin. The facade would be a Baroque. The facade would be from 1706, as you can tell right there from the dates. So as I was saying, this is a church run by the Trinitarian order, and she was a lay Trinitarian. But that happened in the latter. It came after her conversion. She was known. She is originally from Siena. This is just a nice piazza, another church right here in its shadow. But she was born in Siena, and her father lost his trade and made their way to Rome, and he became butler, gentiluomo of the Chigi family in Rome. And eventually she was confirmed at the Lateran, the Cathedral of Rome, San Giovanni in Laterano. And I forget the parish where she would have been baptized prior to that, which I assume would be in Siena. Sorry, I read some about her life. But she then, when she got married, she married this sort of rough man who was in the same work as her father. He was also a gentiluomo of a family, and he was this sort of rough Roman man. But the story of their life says that he was very respectful of her, and she lived quite extravagantly. And there's a story of her being in the square of St. Peter's, and she runs into a Servite priest, and actually what happens is her dress is this very extravagant dress, and it sort of bumped into the priest. And then the story of her conversion comes after that, where she came to confess, and the priest shut the door on her. And then she had a mystical experience in Sant'Andrea della Valle, which is a church that we will see in the future. It's not a Roman station church. This church is a Roman station church. So we will come back to it in, I believe it is the first week of Passion Tide that we come back to San Crisagono. And I'll publish a reel on Instagram later today. So we're going to go inside. We're going to see the body of Blessed Anna Maria Taigi. We'll also see a cosmatesque floor, a beautiful altarpiece. I won't speak much. I'll clarify a bit once we get inside. But I'll try not to. I don't want to disrupt the quiet of the church. We'll go into the front door, so you can enter the church there, or you can enter into the portico and then enter into the church. This is actually one of my favorite churches to come during Lent for the Roman station churches. There's the tabernacle. Here you have the Madonna with the child Jesus, and it's as though he's about to fall down upon the altar, which, as we know, happens in the sacrifice of the Mass, the consecration of the host and the chalice. And here you have a relic of San Crisagano in the high altar. A beautiful statue of the Sacred Heart. And as you might wonder, here on the side is the tabernacle. The tabernacle in these Roman basilicas is not never, but is generally not in the sanctuary. So as you can tell, I came in from that door, because you don't come into the center of these churches when you're coming to make a visit. You come into a side door, one of the side doors of the facade. And so the first thing you see when you walk in the door is Jesus in the tabernacle, which we can talk about some other time on the channel, because it's something like this which would have influenced a lot of the architecture in America in the 60s and the 70s and further on, having the tabernacle in a side set apart from the main area of worship, from the sanctuary of the church. This is I forget the name. I don't know if it's Jesus de los Milagros, Jesus of the Miracles, but this is a statue, and there's an image, this image in a painted form of just of Christ, his face, with this habit, with this scapular of the Trinitarians. The Trinitarians, what they used to do is they would buy the Christians back from Muslims, when Muslims would take over territories, and this was especially the case in Spain. And so the Christians would buy back, the church, the Trinitarians, would buy back Christians who had been bought in slavery, and a sign of their freedom would be the scapular of the Trinitarians. And so that was a sign that they couldn't basically be bought. Okay. Then you have some more modern art in the dome of this chapel. And here you have I don't know the history of these pieces. And you have another relic here underneath this altar But it's a scapular of one of the Trinitarians. Okay. And here on this side, this is the sacristy, and actually here you can go down into the crypt, the Paleo-Christian crypt. I'll have a video on the channel at some point for that. I would take you down there, but there's absolutely no cell service, so it would be pointless to go into that crypt. You just find the sacristan who's somewhere hiding in there. And here in this chapel is Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, and she is incorrupt. So many in America, many women, mothers, are devoted to her. She actually was able to speak, and she commended the first bishop of Louisville, Kentucky, and she had sort of this interesting affinity for America, for the United States, which is quite interesting. And she also was consulted by the secretary of Pope Pius VII, as well as I don't know if it's Blessed or Saint, I think it's Saint Vincent Stromby of the Passionists, who was the first bishop of the Passionist order. But here she is, she's incorrupt. It's said of her that she was a wife, a mother, and a mystic. So she held her duties. She had sort of constant access in the later part of her life, in her mystical life, to the Blessed Trinity. But she had 7 children, 3 of whom didn't survive infancy. But it was said of her that she lived her duties in her life first as a wife, as a mother, and then as a mystic. So it's a humbling lesson for one who had such mystical experiences. But it's a nice place. A lot of people don't come and visit her. And there's this beautiful image above of the 2 Sacred Hearts. If you'd like, we can say a Hail Mary here before the Blessed Anna Maria Taigi and Jesus and Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners. Okay, now we'll leave San Cristiano. That's Mary dressed in the Trinitarian habit. Just look at this beautiful cosmatesque floor. I don't think this Jesus is original to this. Beautiful crucifix here. I don't remember, but I think there were Carmelites here before there were Trinitarians, which is why you would have here St. Teresa of Jesus and St. John of the Cross, and then I don't know who the other woman saint of the Carmelites would be right there. Because yeah, you have more Carmelites here. St. Anthony's everywhere. And he finds me everything. That's why he has to be everywhere, so you can remember where I put things. But you get this beautiful evening sun coming in. Okay. Okay. Now the question is, do we walk along the river? No, we'll walk a little bit in Trastevere, and then we will cross Ponte Sisto. Because last week in our live video, we crossed Ponte degli Angeli, and Ponte Sisto was built to sort of relieve pressure from Ponte degli Angeli, so they're both pilgrim bridges for the pilgrims, the mini pilgrims who'd be coming. Because like I said last week, I guess I lost a lot of you. As I said last week, the area by St. Peter's wasn't built up. There wasn't sort of much life there. It was really just devotion to St. Peter. And that's, of course, the Vatican was there. And that's sort of the life that was there inside the walls. But other than that, it wasn't until much later. But you had these two bridges, which were pilgrim bridges, and the pilgrims would come from Rome, or from beyond, and stay throughout parts of Rome. And they would cross Ponte degli Angeli to get to St. Peter's. And then eventually, Ponte Sisto was built for the pilgrims to cross. And Ponte Sisto is right by Trinità dei Pellegrini. I used to live right on the street that Ponte Sisto comes off of, Via dei Pettinari. And I had a view from my balcony which looked down upon Ponte Sisto, which was quite the envy. I was even envious of myself at that one. Never wanted to leave that place. But Trinità is just a few steps from that bridge. And we'll cross over Ponte Sisto. And I love Trastevere too, Elizabeth. I haven't been over here. One of my favorite restaurants is here. Actually, if you ever need Wi-Fi, let me just show you where there's a bar right here, which has amazing, is this it? No, that's not it. This one down here, this Bacchanale. It has amazing Wi-Fi, the fastest Wi-Fi I've ever connected to in Rome. I don't know how they do it. Oh, I guess, well, you know what? So close, we're gonna walk over there. We're gonna walk to Santa Maria in Trastevere. It's literally just around the corner. There's a nice smelly trash truck, garbage truck. It's not something you like to be following, but I'm the one who has to suffer it. You don't have to smell it. So Santa Maria in Trastevere is one of the oldest churches built in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary. I have a very funny story. The first time I ever went to Trinità dei Pellegrini was in 2011, and it was the feast of San Callisto. And you know, I had only been in Rome for 2 weeks because his feast day is October 14th, and this was a Friday, and I couldn't go. I had masses. I was a seminarian at the time. I had masses that I was required to attend. But since we were in the city, since we were in Rome, we had some days where we could go elsewhere. And so the first Friday I was available to do that, I went to, well, actually, I'll talk about graffiti in a bit. But the first time I ever went to the traditional mass, it was this Friday for the Feast of San Callisto. And I knew San Callisto was buried inside here, but I didn't know where. And so actually it's funny because I went to Trinità, I opened and I went online, I looked online what the time would be, and again, I had only been in Rome for 2 weeks. I came to Rome, I spent one day, then I went and did 2 weeks in Spain. I did the Camino de Santiago de Compostela, and then eventually on the October 1st, I came back to Rome, 2 weeks of classes and stuff like that. Friday I had off, so I went to Mass early in the morning. I looked on, Mass was supposed to be at 7:30. Naturally, that's the online, on the Italian parish websites, they're never correct. It's like you just have to know people in order to know what's going on. So I walk in and communion was already being distributed, and I literally got there at 7:30. I didn't know how long of a walk it was going to be, and so I was frustrated. But there's an evening mass there. There still is. Now the masses at Trinità are 7:15 in the morning and 6:30 at night every day, except for Sunday. Then we have 9, 11 a.m. is the high mass, and then also a 6:30 p.m. evening mass. But so I was frustrated. And so I came over to visit San Callisto. I said, at least I'm so close, I'll just go visit San Callisto in Santa Maria in Trastevere, which actually I had never been inside before, because when I first time I came to pilgrimage, I wasn't able to go inside. And so I had no idea what the inside looked like. I went inside, and I was in a cassock, and there was a priest in a collar, and I was asking where the body of San Callisto was. Dove il corpo di San Callisto? And that's all I really could say. I couldn't say any much more. And the priest, or whoever, seminarian, whoever it was like, cosa? What? And I was like, so I tried to say it again. It's like, it's the feast of San Callisto. What else could I be asking for? Well, funny thing is, right over here in this other piazza between these two buildings, there is a very famous bar, breakfast bar, coffee, cornetti, everything like that. Ciao, Agnese. Agnese knows the story. I've probably told her 50 million times. And so this bar, San Callisto, is right over around here. And I'm in a cassock. Again, it's the Feast of San Callisto. And so whoever this cleric was, he said, Bar San Callisto? And I was like, no. But like we didn't get to the answer. I had no idea that actually the body of San Callisto is kept in the high altar here. So I was frustrated again. And so all I did was kneel down, said a prayer to San Callisto, and left. And then I went back to Trinità, and the sacristan at the time was actually Canadian. And so I went in. I didn't realize he looks Italian. He is Italian. And so I went inside, and I was trying to speak to him in Italian. Again, a horrible failure. And he just said, you know, he can speak in English. And so I just wanted to check. I told him the story, and I just wanted to check to make sure that there was the evening mass still. And he said, yes. And he didn't understand how I didn't know what the time the morning mass was. Typical. And so, but what happened is he said, well, you can just serve a mass right now. There's a priest who's going to say a mass right now. And so that first day I went to Trinità, I was able to serve mass, a private mass at the altar of San Gregorio. So it ended up being a success. I ended up having coffee with the sacristan and this priest and everything, and made friends. So I guess frustrations lead to happy endings. But should we go inside? It's already 24 minutes in. Let me see. We have to walk all the way to San Giovanni Battista dei Fiorentini. Agnese, what do you say? Are you still there? Coffee at the Bar of the Saint. I've never had coffee. I have had one beer there before. I took some Nebraskans there once before going to lunch. So my favorite restaurant, or my friend, well, it's one of my favorites. It's my place is down on this street. Hi, Dad. Da Vittorio is down here. My dad's been there. I go there all the time with Agnese. I took my sister there. I take everyone there. Go in quick. Okay, I'll go in, Agnese. This is what happens. You just have to ask your Roman friends. Always ask the women. They know what the answers are. Let's go inside quickly. We'll just take a step in. I'll speak about the mosaic once we leave. Good call, Agnese. Thanks, Elizabeth. Here's a mission cross, which is whenever missions would be preached, then they would put signs of the mission. I have a story about that in the piazza as well, St. Paul of the Cross. Stand in the back. Oops. Wow. Let's get closer. You have scenes from the life of Mary here, and you have a progression in art here as well. Here you can see already there's sort of a weight to the body of Mary. She's lean, well, actually, that's St. Anne. Ciao, Agnese, enjoy work. That's St. Anne, that's the birth of Mary. And let me see, what am I looking? But you already have depth and perspective coming. And this is quite early in art here. And then you have Jesus as the Lamb and the 12 apostles. We talk about the mosaics in more detail on the Roman Station Church videos, but there's something that's really saucy. What? But it still is quite a shocking sight to see, huh? Okay, we'll keep on walking. You have an early icon of Mary. Here you have St. Jerome, recently restored. I don't know the history of it though, but this is a very beautiful baptistry. You can see with the perspective. Back up. Gosh, they really want you to pay for lights, huh? Okay. Oh, my shoes are loud. This is beautiful. Mamma mia. Okay, now we go on. I'll walk fast. I can be a fast walker. So we leave Santa Maria in Trastevere and we go to the path which I have probably walked 500 times or more. When you're leaving, so right now I'm walking towards Ponte Sisto. You can also go in this direction, and that takes you on a more neighborhood walk. Oh, the graffiti. So Mike was wondering and commented how it's such a shame that there's so much graffiti, but I mean, I don't like it either. It is something that a lot of people don't like about Rome. They come here and they just feel sort of heavy laden by the graffiti. But the ancient Romans even graffitied things. It's just part of the, I don't know, the culture here. But no, it's always really annoying right after something gets restored. And you can tell here, you can see this paint here. They paint it every so often. And then look, it just gets more graffiti. So, I mean, I don't even know how they get up there. But what are you going to do? This, I don't even, oh, Via del Moro. So you're saying it's traditional graffiti. Yes, ancient traditional graffiti. Except sometimes it's quite disturbing, the graffiti. But once you live here for a while, you just kind of don't look at it. I do remember saying the same thing the first time I came to Rome, and I was with one of my friends that was on the pilgrimage with me, said the same thing. He just didn't like Rome because of the graffiti. But you kind of zone it out. There's a few things that happen when you're living here. Coming from America, for example, here the advertisements are more natural. More natural than they are in America. I mean, I don't know anymore, but growing up here, there's like, I don't know how much undergarments Italians need to buy, but there's like an undergarment store on every single corner. And it's just, Italians are just desensitized to it. I don't know. Whereas after living here, so am I. So it's the same thing with the graffiti. You just kind of don't recognize some of these things. Actually, no. I might have seen one when I was on a train. Someone just asked if I had ever seen people actively doing graffiti. There are some things even in Trastevere. It's a bit of way away from here. There's a building which, like the Comune of Rome, sort of commissioned it to be graffitied, and that's like nice. And there's some other projects. I've heard of other cities doing that as well. There's a famous pizza place. Oh, it's closed. No, it's not closed. I've never had it, but it's like this. What's it called? Right here. This Trapizzino. There's a few places in Rome, and apparently it's like it's like a pocket pizza. I've never had it. I don't know if Johnny Egan is on here. He's had it before, but sometimes there can be this massive line. I need to go to the one. Well, actually, I should get one right now, but I'm not hungry. And I discovered this with Johnny Egan, in fact. Johnny Egan, spoke about him last time. He comes to Rome a couple times a year, and he becomes the factotum in the parish life. So Trinità is just over there. And then you have this fountain, which actually used to sit on the other side of the river. When Johnny comes back next time, what we'll do is I'll go live with him, and we will go through Latin inscriptions, and because I was with him when we discovered this, because the Latin says it sits on the other side of the river, because this water, there's a huge fountain on the top of Trastevere, or on top of the Gianiculo. Well, I'll bring you there sometime. But the water comes from there, and then the inscription says that this fountain sits on the other side of the river from there. And so we were so confused. But what it is it was moved. So this fountain that we just looked at actually used to be on the other side of the river. Green light, so walk. So this is Ponte Sisto.
Dental.
But what happened was, as we said last week, these fondaments were built up in 1870 to prevent flooding in the city. And that also changed the neighborhoods along the river. And so this building, this orange building right there, used to actually come out more, basically to where the edge of the river is now. I don't know how, because I don't know, maybe the river is a bit widened in that sense. But there's the Dome of Trinità de Pellegrini. And so what happened was that fountain, sorry, I'm kind of getting dizzy myself and it's being blocked by something. This fountain used to actually sit on this orange building facing this way. And so, because it also says in that inscription that it sits at the head of Via Giulia, which is a street we're going to walk down. Via Giulia is actually the longest street of the original Rome that exists in the center. It's like 1.3 kilometers. It's just under a mile. And that's the longest sort of straight street. I used to run on it. Here's the island in the Tiber. We'll go on that sometime. And that has an interesting connection to San Crisagno, which is the church where we just were. So we were on that street, and San Crisagno is over there behind these buildings. And this island is actually like the residence historically. It's where Sardinians and Corsicans lived, and basically their parish, the national parish for them, or their sort of community parish in Rome, is San Crisagno, historically and now. And well, I'll just let you enjoy the Roman life, and then I'll explain some more later. But this is Ponte Sisto.
You wanna cry when you're out there doing what you're doing? Are you just getting by? Tell me, are you just getting by?
Okay, I'll save you from some life. And we will look over here and see St. Peter's. Yeah, it's Ponte Sisto. This is just the iconic sort of tourist walk back and forth on it all day long. And in the evening, Trastevere is the hip place to be. And so people will walk from Trastevere over here. That's beautiful. You can see, I think, no, that's the cupola. I was going to see if you could see the fountain that runs into this fountain here. So here is St. Peter's. We're going to be walking that way. Ponte Sisto. This, actually in front of this bar right there, they're often filming. So I could look down my balcony was up there, and I could look down and see different filming, and you'd hear action. And so this building used to come out a little bit more, and the fountain was, I've seen like a printing of it. Religious sisters everywhere, not everywhere, but you see them all the time though. And the fountain would sit on that building right there and was facing that way as the head of Via Giulia. So we're gonna walk across the street and walk up Via Giulia. Apparently last week we had the 2 coldest days of the year, which weren't even that cold. I don't know. It does get below freezing at night, at least where I'm living, because I was cleaning something and I left it out by accident and it was all frosted in the morning. But it's really not that cold. I'm a bit warm right now in a normal jacket, but that's Rome. So this is Via Giulia. There used to be a very good Vietnamese restaurant right there in the corner, but they're closed. They didn't survive the lockdowns and everything. When we visit Trinità, I'll take you to the church of San Salvatore in Onda, which is where St. Vincent Pallotti is buried. And he is also incorrupt. His feast day was 2 weeks ago. Elizabeth, are you talking about this bar that I introduced to you right there? There is a very good bar, and it's a restaurant. I don't think I've ever eaten there. I've just had aperitivi. They give you sometimes when you have a cocktail. Okay, yeah, so this is the bar she's talking about. I think it's just called Giulia, which is a nice name. I don't really know the history of these buildings because they look basically like off buildings or like servant quarters of palazzi. Because up here we have Palazzo Farnese, but we're not going to see the facade of it because I'm just going to walk down Via Giulia. We also have Palazzo Spada, which is a very sort of intimidating facade. But that's really all it is a facade. You enter it and there's not much. It's just open space, open air, which is nice in Rome. But it's not, these sometimes things are illusions. But here's the back of Piazza Farnese. Here's sirens like always. So there's Palazzo Farnese, which is in Piazza Farnese, which is right next to Campo dei Fiori. And then if you keep walking there, I can't wait to tell you when we do that live tour. I can't wait to tell you a story from what happened to me. And I don't know, it was another story of when I was serving at Trinità and I was walking home and I was in a cassock. I had no Italian, but I'll save it for that day. This is a beautiful church dedicated to the poor souls in purgatory. You might recognize this. I'm sure a lot of you recognize this. Most of you have been to Rome. But this church is dedicated to the poor souls. There's really interesting images. I've never been inside. I could have gone once, but I missed the opportunity. You see this often with the dead, with devotion to the poor souls. Today, me, tomorrow, you. Hodie mihi kras tibi. And you can give an offering for the perpetual lamp of the cemetery. Yeah, I've never been inside, but it's beautiful. The facade's beautiful. I mean, look, it's very kind of dark, macabre. So we'll keep walking. There's the side of Palazzo Farnese, which was recently renovated There's actually this new artist in Rome. His name's Iago. I don't really like his art. But as things are, some people like it, some people don't. A lot of people like it, and he's actually the feature of his work in Palazzo Bonaparte. This is the, where is the embassy this is the Hungarian embassy. Anyways, his art is there. He just has I think he has like the talent, but I just don't like his lines and the smoothness, and yeah, I don't know. But he also designed this scaffolding, which has, I don't know what it's called, but that perspective, there's a special name for it, which it's this perspective which is elongated, and so it gives the impression of the proper proportions on a very sort of small scale. This being the facade of Palazzo Farnese, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's better than looking at just boring scaffolding. I mean, that's really that was just a promotion of his work. That's not actually part of his work. He's mostly known for his statues. I went into this church for the first time a couple Sundays ago when I was walking to Mass. I put a story on Instagram. It was interesting. I'm guessing it was, well, actually, I don't know. But it's a side to, or it's next to the, what is this called? Obviously it's Spain, but it's not the National Church of Spain. So this is the National Church of Spain. Don't know if any Spaniards are watching. And then this is the palace next to it. It's not bad. So like I said, this is Via Giulia. It's the longest, straightest, ancient road of Rome inside the city. Is it nicer looking at Rome in the daylight? I mean, obviously this is dusk, or this is the sun is setting. Or do you prefer the evening walks? Those of you who watched last week, which do you prefer? They're talking about their boyfriends. A mix. I think okay, Dad. I'll do a mix. Some at night, some in the day. Obviously, I think I'll even have to do. I'll have to do St. Peter's in the day. Depends on the area. Yeah, that too. This church is closed, unfortunately. I've only been in here a couple times. I forget if it's Eastern, in union with the church. We came in here. We did Via Crucis. You like the day? Yeah, we'll do both. We did the Via Crucis, Stations of the Cross. And that was one of the churches we prayed 2 stations in. We also prayed in the Oratorio del Gonfalone, which was the first oratory founded by St. Philip Neri. Unless I'm wrong. It's like this whole area of Rome is founded by St. Philip Neri. This building right here, actually, you just see the facade, but it's a deconsecrated church which was founded by him. This is one of my sister's favorite piazzas because it's all orange. It's the same color. We're talking about it last week with the Savoys, this color which was sort of decided that Rome should be painted in. And I think Elizabeth has a painting of this. Elizabeth is watching. She's an artist, watercolor primarily, I think. Maybe she does more. I always see her watercolors. I have a few of her pieces. And yeah, it's just the way these buildings are situated is just fascinating. And Chiesa Nuova is just on the other side of these buildings, which is where we started the tour last week. But this is a nice facade, but now it's just like an architecture office. Beautiful image of Our Lady, St. Philip. Last week we were talking about the images of Our Lady on the sides of buildings and everything, and they're called Madonnelle. That's what the Romans call them, and there are more than 500. There used to be more, but there's now in existence just over 500. Just your fun fact. See, this is a long street. So much to see. We're passing about 5 churches I could have gone in. It's funny, I used to, when I first came to Rome 10 years ago, and then I came on pilgrimage in 2013, 2014 for Christmas, or for Epiphany basically. This is Via del Gonfalone. The oratory is there. I've been in once. It's there's sometimes they have concerts in there, and maybe just a few masses. But regarding, so I used to come to Rome, or when I first came to Rome, I used to just like go into church after church after church after church. And I remember I was with a friend who's now a priest. He wasn't a priest at the time, and his mother, and they were a bit older than I am, and they're like, Jacob, we have to take a rest. We have to have some tea. We have to do something. They're British. And now I'm with them. And actually, Agnese is the one who helped me understand that. Because, so she showed me, the Roman churches, everything like that. And she also said, this is how Italians experience the city. You go visit something, you stop, you have a coffee. Maybe you go visit something some more. Then you have a drink. That's the proper way to take things in, which is why. So I'm happy we went into Santa Maria in Trastevere, because you never know the next time we're going to be touring these live tours and be over there. But it is the proper way to take things in. Take it in slowly. Enjoy it. Just coming up here, this church up here is San Giovanni Battista dei Fiorentini, built in honor of St. John the Baptist. My arm's tired. This is we've been live for 54 minutes already. I thought last week was long. But we'll go in, I'll show you 2 things. Actually a good restaurant just around the corner there. The family, there's 2 brothers. They come up from Caserta, which is outside of Naples. They come up every day. They close at midnight. They drive back down. I'm guessing it's an hour and a half drive, something like that, maybe 2. And it's pretty good food. I've been there once or twice. This is the facade. This is the 64 bus. This is the bus that you often get on if you're going from Termini to St. Peter's. Okay, we'll go inside. Entrata. Here it is, it's massive. I don't know the history of this because you have two other big statues which I'll show you. But look, they're massive and they're beautiful. Maybe it says it here. No, it doesn't say. There's Johnny Egan. We have two other beautiful statues here. Of evangelists. They have an English on Sundays at 6. But I'm really happy to see that their nativity scene is still out. You here to take you to the foot of St. Mary Magdalene. Blessed Sacrament. Relic of the foot of St. Mary Magdalene. As it says, the first foot to enter the sepulchre of Jesus, the risen Christ. And here it is. On her feast day, they bring it out and they bless you with it. So St. Mary Magdalene, pray for us. Oh, here, actually, exposition of the relics from November to June. Every 22nd of the month. Yeah, okay, sorry. Every 22nd of the month. They have a prayer at 4:45 from November to March. I think it's so funny. These schedules are always so confusing. How do you ever remember these things? I guess if you have particular devotion and if you are part of the parish, it becomes part of your life. I'm going to walk. Oh, wow, actually this chapel is amazing. How come I never... No, look at those reliefs. That means mass or what? I don't know. Time is it? 5 o'clock. I'm heading... Oh, yeah, there's a mass about to start. But there's no one here. I'm heading to Holy Hour at Santi Celso Giuliano. I'll keep you on because we saw it last week in the dark, but I want to show you it in the daylight. It's quite an impressive church. I'll have to do a video in depth. There's also the cross of St. Philip Neri there. Yeah, there's just so much in Rome. Like I said, this area is just full of devotion to St. Philip Neri. Just a couple minutes away. The Holy Hour is just starting. Started at 5. Beautiful facade. That's annoying. That's how I am when I'm driving. I get annoyed, huffing and puffing at other drivers. Also happens when I'm walking on the streets here. Okay, just across the street, we're actually going to visit Santi Celso Giuliano. Won't be able to take you inside because the holy hour has already started. But it belongs underneath the rectorship of the rector of San Giovanni Battista dei Fiorentini. So Santi Celso Giuliano is just a chapel, basically. And it's where Pius XII was baptized. Which, thank you, I was just about to ask you to mention San Filippo Neri. Of course, Jackie. St. Pius XII, not St. Pius XII, sorry, Pope Pius XII. So if you remember, this is where we walked last week. The Barbiere. It's different in the light. Americans walking down the street. There is Castel Sant'Angelo. What was I saying? Don't remember. St. Philip Neri. Oh, Pope Pius XII was baptized here. And actually, his family had a palace, or a villa in the town where I live now, which is out by the sea, which is pretty cool. So it's kind of the town of Pope Pius XII as well, at least. So you can, this we saw last week, it's really dark. We saw this last week in the dark. Starry sky, Arco dei Banchi. And what did yesterday I shared a reel on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. If you go to the shorts on YouTube, you can see it was of Pope Pius XII praying the Our Father. So I'll just show you the facade and then I'll walk in and I'll sign off. Actually, I'll sign off before because the door is closed. But here's the facade. Been recently. Is Johnny still here? This facade was recently cleaned. Looks different during the day. It's beautiful. It actually wasn't even that bad, but I'm used to the dirt and there's no graffiti, as you can tell. If Mike's still watching, ciao bello. So Santi Celso e Giuliani. I just we were talking last week about the facade. Did you look any more, Johnny, about the Savoy colors? I meant to research it, but I was researching the life of Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, who we visited at the beginning of this video. We walked from San Crisagano all the way to here. Yes, it does look awesome. Okay, I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna head in. I'll pray for you at the Holy Hour. Castel Sant'Angelo. It's just beautiful. Okay, have a good day. I'll pray for you at the Holy Hour and at Mass. And then on Instagram, I'm going live at 9 o'clock Rome time, so 3 o'clock Eastern time in America. I'm going live to pray the Rosary with Katie, Sweet Catholic Life. So I'll see you again there if you join on Instagram. Have a good day.